second.
Okay, we have a motion from Director Castellano, a second from Director Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Director Keller-Heckman, you want
Thank you, Chair. So simply staff just asked the board to direct staff to return at the next HWMA board meeting with the June 2025 financials. It looks like there was an issue, along with a couple of other issues, it looks like, compiling this agenda and board packet. And the June 2025 financials, the physical attachments were not included. So we would ask that the board direct us to bring those back at our next meeting.
All right, do we need a motion for that? I will. No, we don't need one. All right, so we'll just bring that back at the next meeting. That sounds great. All right, let's go to oral and written communications. Do we have any public comment this evening? Anybody on Zoom? All right, seeing none, we will close oral and written communications and moved on to item 4, which is the proposed revision to HWMA Financial Policy 3020.3. Can we get a staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair. So just for a little bit of reference, Policy 3020.3 deals with the capitalization and depreciation of authority assets. This staff report is pretty simple. We've reached out to not only our auditors, but several other entities to get some advice on what they have their current asset and depreciation schedule thresholds at. So originally in January of 2004, the threshold was $1,000 as set by this board. That was updated in February of 2007 from 1,000 to 5,000. And tonight, staff is simply asking that the board increase that threshold again from 5,000 to 10,000.
All right, I'll bring it to the board for any questions.
I had a question. Do we anticipate any challenges with any grant deliverables or anything that would be looked at in a different way with this change?
No. So Director Schwartz and I took a look at all the assets and our depreciation schedule. And right now, with this change, there won't be any impacts to any assets that we currently have on the books. And anything that would have potentially been impacted has already been disposed in the prior year or the year before that. So this is a pretty good time to do it, as it's not going to have any implications on any assets we have. And the change simply will assist us in not having to have so many general operational things end up on our depreciation or asset categories. $5,000 is not what it used to be in 2007 when this was originally passed. And we've noticed in the past couple of years that we're starting to add kind of ancillary items, steel projects that we do to retrofit push walls or things like that. Those are climbing well past $5,000 now. And it becomes a little bit burdensome to all staff involved to depreciate assets like that.
Makes sense. Anybody else have any questions? Do you have any public comment on this item?
Seeing none, Chair.
All right. Do we need a motion?
I make a motion that we review and approve update to policy 3020-3 of the HWMA policy handbook to authorize capitalization depreciation of assets of 10,000 or greater. Approve resolution 2026-04, a resolution of the HWMA Board of Directors updating the HWMA policy 3020.3 to authorize capitalization and depreciation of assets of $10,000 or greater.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Director Katie, second from Director Castellano. Was that you? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and that passes. Let's move on to item 5, which is a proposed revision to HWMA policy 6010, labor charges. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So again, like we spoke about a little bit at our last meeting, and you're going to continue to see updates and revisions to our policy handbook, especially for policies that have aged significantly. So the labor charge policy was originally adopted by this board in July of 2001. It was subsequently revised in May of 2009. And current practices, it's utilized for a myriad of operational aspects, from dealing with trailers, campers, motorhomes, large single items such as concrete, building supplies, things like that require additional staff time to handle when compared to general municipal solid waste that we receive. So as material has changed and our operational best practices have shifted to meet those changes, a better definition of what this fee can be applied to by staff is warranted. So in the waste management fees, we have it listed as a special handling fee. So below, as an attachment, you will see the current labor charges, and then you will see the proposed policy 6010. With a couple of revisions to the general overall tone and tenor, how we notify customers of the charge, how we deal with charges specifically, and the title has been changed from labor charge to special handling fee. So this again is just taking a well outdated policy and updating it to better reflect our current practices.
All right. Any questions from the board? Go ahead.
So do you have like a thing that they'll see? I don't want to say like a document that they can see that they're going to get charged that fee?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that we generally deal with individuals who come into the transfer station that may be subject to the special handling fees. One, it is listed in our waste management fees that are posted online and at the facility. And it does have a brief list on that list of what can be subject to the special handling fees. This is a fee that's been in place for a very long time. So individuals or businesses know about the fee as well. And they come in and they let staff know that they have a special waste or a waste material that's going to be outside of the regular municipal solid waste band of handling. And then additionally, if residents or people who don't use this fee or utilize this fee often come in, our staff, before the material is disposed or the item is disposed, takes a second, stops that individual, lets them know, hey, there's going to be an extra special handling fee levied on your ticket. At that time, the resident or the customer is free to not drop the material off if they choose, but if they do, they've been made well aware of the extra charges before dropping the material.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I was just noting that, so it looks like the change was from rounded to the nearest half hour and changed to the nearest quarter hour.
That is
was
correct.
To reflect more.
Yeah. So when this was originally adopted, our scale software and honestly just our billing in general didn't have the precise nature that it does now. So that was the increment that was determined back then. Now we can do a much better job of not only estimating the time that it's going to take and actually spending the time, but we can make sure that we're not overcharging or undercharging for the services that's provided.
Thank you.
And thank you. And just to clarify, once this passes, we'll have actual dollar numbers for those special just so that can be conveyed to the public.
This fee has already been adopted and has been adopted for a long time. Okay. In our waste management fees. Great. Yeah, so this fee already exists. We're not adding a new fee. We're simply updating the language and clarifying how we charge for it and how it's handled.
Appreciate all the work that you're doing to go through and update all of this stuff. Nancy?
Can I ask if there's a word that's been unintentionally omitted in the proposed policy 6010.1, the very last sentence of that first paragraph? Should it read from time to time?
Yes.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
Seeing none, Chair.
All right, I'll bring it back to the board. Anybody have any questions or would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2605, a resolution of the HWMA Board of Directors updating the HWMA policy 6010 labor charges.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Director Louis Lusso and a second by Director Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that motion passes. Let us move on to a presentation on the new pit scale.
Thank you, Chair. So this evening we have Interim Director of Operations, Elder Marias, who will be presenting you with this presentation.
This evening, I'll be presenting you our newly finished transfer station scale project. Is it on? The original scale being replaced has been in operation for approximately 24 years. The scale usage consists of 8 to 10 trailers per day and operating upwards to 360 days annually. It weighs solid waste that is transported to Dry Creek landfill. Over the past year, it's begun to show significant wear and tear through operational use. The project was originally approved by the board in May of 2023 and added to our capital improvement plan for funding. The request for bids was approved in November of 2024 and awarded to Quality Scales Unlimited in January of 2025. On May 30th, the contractor began removal of the old scale, and the surrounding area was cleaned and prepared for the new scale to be installed. On May 31st, final cleanup and prep for the new scale was finished. The new scale arrived late Saturday by freight and was prepared for installation. Here you can see a couple pictures of the new scale being installed by Quality Scales Unlimited. The project was scheduled on a weekend to minimize operational disruptions to the total project time running only 3 days. And we ran it through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. By Monday morning, we were operational and loading trailers again on our new scale. This concludes my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions if the board has any questions for me.
All right, I'll take some questions. Anybody have any questions? That was quick. That was great. I mean,
Thank you.
do we have any public comment on this? No, this was just a presentation. We don't need to, there's no motion that needs to be made, all right? Well, good for you. That was
Thank you.
a project. All right.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
All right, let's receive another presentation on potential 457 deferred compensation plan match.
Thank you, Chair. So, as most of you know, the HWMA and its employees are members of the CalPERS pension, which administers a defined benefit and pension plan for California public employees. There are currently 2 classifications of employees, or that employees fall into under CalPERS, Classic and PEPRA. In addition to this plan, Authority offers several additional employer-sponsored retirement plans called 457 plans. These plans are employee optional, salary deferred retirement plans, and are available to all HWMA staff regardless of their CalPERS classification. While these plans are available to all, historical participation at the Authority has remained low and fluctuates around 15 to 20% of staff opting in to the plans. So, how are these classifications determined? Well, I'm sure most of you are aware. Originally, in November of 2008, the HWMA board adopted a resolution to begin making contributions to CalPERS for all employees. These contributions are split between the employer and the employee, with HWMA at the time choosing to pick up both required contributions. In 2013, the California Public Employees Pension Reform Act was passed. This legislation directly impacted new public employees and introduced a significant change to employee contribution portion of the fees. It removed the employer's ability to pay or pick up these employee portions, in essence requiring all employees hired after January 1st of 2013 to pay their employee portion, essentially degrading the previous benefits for all new employees after that date. Over the past year, this board has requested staff to begin evaluating not only the current salaries and wages of staff, but its overall benefit package for current and potential employees. As the board is aware, in the past, the authority has struggled at times with not only retaining current staff, but attracting potential candidates to the authority. While a salary survey is forthcoming, we wanted to present a couple of options that we believe may strengthen our current benefits package. And through those evaluations, one option that is used by several other public agencies is a match to employees' 457 deferred compensation plans. Staff has found that there are two common options for a match program of this type, either set at a 3 or a 5% match. So either option works similarly with the threshold amount for the match, the only variable. In either case, an HWMA staff member will contribute to their 457 plan, and the authority will then match those contributions up to the percentage threshold of their annual simple wages. As an example of this match is shown here. For the 3% option, if an employee's annual salary is $50,000, the authority will match that employee's contributions up to 3% of their simple wages. For this employee, it would be $1,500 annually that the authority would match. For the 5% option, that match threshold would then increase to $2,500 annually that the authority would match. This slide represents the total potential impact of both options. The board should keep in mind this shows the maximum impact to the authority, with all employees contributing the maximum amount to meet the match threshold. As noted previously, the current participation rate is around 20%, or 8 current staff members of our 34 FTEs, with varying contribution levels across the board. While we are hopeful a potential match would increase employee participation, it is extremely unlikely the full impact as presented would be realized. If we had implemented this for this fiscal year with the current participation threshold, the impact to the rates would have been around 15 to 30 cents per ton, depending on the match percentage. And with that, staff's recommendation is for the board to discuss the option as presented and provide direction to staff. And should the board choose one of the options as presented or a variation of those options, direct staff to return no later than November with draft language for your consideration. And as always, I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
I have a couple of questions. I'm not familiar with how many employees are currently staffed with HWMA. And then I was wondering when this might come into effect. And I think my last question was for the budget, how will this impact the budget? Those are my questions.
So the HWMA has 34 FTE positions. Now, not all of those are currently filled. Some of them are frozen, but on the books, we technically have 34 FTE positions. As far as when it would take place, obviously that would be at the board's purview. We could take a look at this and bring language forward to you in November that we could then approve and roll into effect in our next budget in July 1 of 2026. We could take a look at other options on giving it a test run for the rest or the remainder of this fiscal year, and using our salary stabilization fund that we have not touched either for several years. That we have that type of fund as well, so we could use that for any participation that we might have and any increased participation as well. And then that was it? Okay. Oh, how would it impact the budget? It would simply be another line item in our budget in payroll and salary that would be allotted and budgeted for. And like I said, if we had done this July 1 of 2025, depending on the match percentage with the current enrollment, you're looking at around 15 to 30 cents per ton. If you look at the slide that we had and we had 100% match at either 3 or 5%, you're going from 90 cents a ton to $1.40 a ton, give or take.
Thank you. Let's see, you mentioned other agencies do 457 matches. I know the city of Eureka does not. What other local agencies do?
I don't have the list off the top of my head. I do not believe any local Humboldt County agencies do.
Okay.
But there are all the agencies that we looked at are all within California.
Okay.
And I'd be more than happy to provide that list that we have as well. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay. What's our staff turnover like lately?
Lately, it's been good. Lately, we have not had that much retention issues. We have certainly had issues garnering interest from new employees and new positions as well. So we have struggled with that recently.
Okay. I'm just curious, for sure, all of us represent different local agencies. And, when one organization makes a change, it often kind of triggers a round of conversations across organizations. And of course, we want everyone to do as well as possible. And, we also see the impact on ratepayers. Like, we just passed a pretty big rate increase just last month at the city of Eureka, and so I'm just kind of curious, have you kind of done a look and just looked at probably you haven't, because I know I haven't, and this would be interesting just to kind of get a sense of what are the rates that people are paying, across the community in terms of garbage, water, electric. And, my concern, is just that in a period of some economic uncertainty, I'm starting to just feel the weight on citizens. And so I'm just kind of curious, your thoughts on that.
Sure. I think trying to compare, especially our fees to water, power, sewer, something like that. We are solely and singularly funded outside of grants through our tipping fee. So we do not have the option to pass any new fees. We get one shot a year to pass our fees, and whatever tonnage comes across our scales and is generated with our members, that's how we have to collect all the funding for future and current operations. So that's a little bit more difficult to compare our fees specifically to utilities and things like that have several different source fundings or tax revenue or things like that. But I think no matter what, every fee for every person has gone up over the last 10 years. There's not really any denying that whatsoever. But in comparing our increases to water, I would be more than happy to do that. I think that would be a difficult thing to do, but I'm sure staff and myself will be more than happy to try and tackle that for you if you'd like. But again, we also just only have one sole funding source as well.
Thank you.
Did your employees, were people asking for this, or is it something that you just decided to research, or?
So the directive to look at our benefits and potential increases in benefits came from this board last year. So we've done a decent evaluation of a myriad of different public agencies. The majority of those, we are in lockstep with a lot of our benefits. Some are better, some are worse. But this is just a potential option that we saw that other public agencies in California offer to staff that we do not currently offer. And so we thought bringing this forward as a potential option to strengthen our benefits package, along with the salary survey that will be forthcoming.
So you think you said now not a lot of people participate. Do you imagine? I would imagine with this that you'd get pretty good participation. It seems like an awfully good benefit.
It's hard for me to say. I do not think that we are going to see a mass increase of participation, simply because staff has to pay into it first before the authority matches. And that's going to be difficult to convince some employees. Some employees just don't do that no matter what. Some employees will see the value of it, and maybe it hasn't reached the value level for them to participate, and this will push them over the edge to get a little bit of extra money annually based off their contributions. But it's difficult for me to say an increase. Will we see an increase? I would imagine a little bit, but not something significant. I would be shocked if we saw a doubling. If we currently have 8 staff members out of 34 that participate, if we got to 16, I would be pretty surprised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think that when employees see the potential to increase their earnings, that is an incentive. Given inflation and the cost of living and everything, most people probably don't see where they're going to get the 3% or 5% to actually set aside. But it is a strong incentive to double your money. And I know I'm really grateful that 30 years ago I started one of these. While not many agencies locally do it, many nonprofits locally do, especially the larger nonprofits. It's also true, I mean, while you say you're not having a problem with retention right now, there is a cost to failed recruitment, failed retention, and retraining. We know this, right? And so whatever we can do to kind of create an edge to that and maintain good retention so that we don't have to increase recruitment and training, that's money saved, you know? And so putting into place things like this that help us with that long term, I think is a good investment personally. I agree with you. I don't think it's suddenly going to break the bank, that everybody's going to be rushing to do it, and we're going to suddenly have 34 people involved. I do sympathize with the fact that we're all, you know, our money's going less further all the time for everything. Costs are going up. Our income's not keeping pace. So if it's true that not many people engage, well, then that's not going to cost us, right? So it solves its own problem in a sense. I realize that doesn't play into the point of you have to predict in order to determine what fee, because you only get, like you said, one opportunity each year to do that. But I would think after a year or so, we'd see kind of how it's going to work and be able to plan accordingly for that. Might be for the first year, we're able to use that salary buffer system that you said, because it's not going to be probably all that much. And then we see where we're at, and then we decide what to do with the rates and things like that. So we can get both benefits there. We can encourage and see how many employees might engage. And if we need to raise rates, we can do it later rather than right away by using that buffer. But I don't want to foolishly use those buffers either. So anyway, I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons here, but in general, I think it's probably a good thing. And I appreciate the research.
Does the match completely offset the cost of engaging in the 457 plan?
No. So the match is additive to the employee's cost. So if an employee makes $50,000 and they want to contribute $1,500, which would be 3% of their base salary, they have to contribute the $1,500, and then the authority would match up to $1,500. They're free to continue to contribute as much as they would like. I believe the maximum is somewhere around $23,000 annually to a 457, but the authority's max match will be capped at the percentage. But the employee has to put that funding in first, and then the authority will match that funding.
Okay, so it's up to them to
Correct.
how much they want to put in.
Yep.
And they can choose to stop at whatever the authority is matching them.
That is correct.
They can limit it to that.
Yep. And they could also be under that threshold too. They're free to choose whatever allotment of funds they want to put into their 457 per pay period annually. And so there's nothing that prohibits them going over the match. There's nothing that prohibits them staying under the match either. So we will just simply, our contribution, the authority's contributions will just be capped at the match percentage.
And there is no match now.
That is correct. There is no match.
So with if you add this to match to their system, why would they not do it? That's just their. I don't want to use the word paranoia, but
That's a tough thing to answer. I mean, individuals have different priorities. Individuals have different circumstances and different situations. It's hard for me to speak to all employees on why they would or would not, but I know that staff for several years has been very boisterous about how beneficial retirement plans such as 457s are, and we still have not really got the participation that you would think.
is it a lack of education? I mean, obviously now I'm retired, so this, you look back and see things that would have been.
I think.
I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
And like we had the 401k stuff that worked. We had matches too.
Yeah.
In the latter part of employment, but it seemed like there should be. I mean, you can read a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And
Yeah.
So that they would want to put in everything they can put into retirement when it gets there, because of the way retirement is.
I think it's twofold. I think a little bit is what Director Madrone said, where money overall for everyone is going less far than it used to be. So scratching out 3% a paycheck to be able to put to something that really isn't at the forefront, especially if you're a young adult, if you're in your 20s, it's really not something that's ever been a forefront thought for those individuals. So the education is a little bit more difficult to go that road. And we have several young employees as well. So a majority of our operations staff is either very senior or very new. And so that's why I think we see some of the participation rates we do. But we do education and outreach regarding 457 plans annually. And we have not seen really a uptick, honestly, since I've been at the authority, of 457 plan participation.
Okay, because it may be that because they're not. So in essence, they're getting, say we're doing the 3%, they're getting 6% put into 457 versus the 3%, but they're still having to take 3% of their take-home pay somewhere that doesn't go to that goes away from paying bills.
That is correct.
And so the long-term investment doesn't carry over, particularly in healthcare and some of these others where they see the value, where they don't need it at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you now. Thank you.
Yep.
Our CEA does this. Don't they have it for 457? I think our CEA does. It was very.
It's 527. Did you say 4?
I think it's a. Yeah. I loved it when I worked for RCEA. I think it's great. I wish more people would take it. I wish that I had put more aside, honestly. Madrone?
So there's some things we know, some things we don't know.
Sure.
What we know is that doing this won't cause people to leave the program, right?
That's correct.
We know this, right? It's not going to be a negative.
Yeah.
It might be a positive in terms of recruitment, retention, and training and things like that. But we don't know exactly how much it's going to incentivize how many more people. So I would like to make a motion that we direct staff to come back with the details of how this might work. But before even coming back, is there a way to poll staff and get a sense that would help advise us in regards to what fee changes we might need to make, which would inform what you might come back with as a policy recommendation?
Absolutely.
So I guess my motion would be poll the staff, see where we're at. That doesn't cost hardly anything. And then come back with a recommendation for us on how that might work.
Absolutely.
And then we can adjust as needed. I mean, if everybody participates, guess what? We're probably going to keep all those people. And that's really valuable. And it's not just maintaining, holding on to employees, but morale goes up. When employees are feeling valued because you've made an effort to give them better benefits, that increases morale.
Absolutely.
That is, again, hard to put a number on, but what we know is that it's valuable. really valuable, right? So that would be my motion. Take a poll and come back with a recommendation.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Director Madrone and a second from Director Wilson. Director Castellano?
Do we need to do public comment on this too?
Absolutely do.
Okay.
Let's
I
take
have some
public comment.
things I'd like to request, but I can wait till after public comment.
Sure, let's.
Apologize, I should have waited till we
No,
heard
no,
from the
no.
public.
You could. That's great.
Anyway,
It's all good. Public comment? Anybody on Zoom?
Seeing none, Chair.
All right, Director Castellano.
To me, I don't have enough information right. I mean, for sure, I will vote yes to bring back more information. But as part of that, I think I need more information, such as a comparison between HWMA and other agencies in terms of just like salary benefits. I want to, just get a sense of like what's the lay of the land, and it would be great just to know how long people have been working in their positions.
Sure.
I think would be useful to know, and those are the main things.
So is that amending
Director
the
Castellano,
motion,
would that
or-
be a friendly amendment to Director Madrone's? Would that be a friendly amendment to Director Madrone's motion?
I don't know that, sure we could formalize it. I don't know that it needs to be formalized. It's just a request for information.
All right.
Yeah.
accepted amendment, it provides clarity to staff. So.
All right. Well, then let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you. Great discussion. Let's move on to board member reports. Does anybody have anything they'd like to report? All right. Executive Director report.
Nothing at this time, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Well, it is 6:08, and it looks like we are now going to move into closed session. So let's do that.